Michael Jackson's estate is once again back in court. And this time, the number being discussed is staggering: $400 million. That's the amount being demanded in damages by Robson and James Safechuck, reigniting one of the most controversial and emotionally charged legal battles ever connected to the King of Pop's legacy. The lawsuit was quietly refiled in early 2025, but the enormous figure only became public recently, after new court documents revealed a separate dispute between Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris Jackson, and the estate's co-executors, attorney John Branca and music executive John McClain. Here, where things get complicated. According to reports, Paris objected to the estate's increasingly high legal expenses in the ongoing Robson and Safechuck case. Those expenses have been piling up for years, but what caught attention was that, buried within those filings, was a reference to the total amount being sought in damages: $400 million. The revelation shocked fans and industry observers alike. For nearly a decade, the estate of Michael Jackson has been locked in a series of legal battles with the two men, both of whom were featured in the 2019 HBO documentary Leaving Neverland, where they accused Jackson of sexual abuse when they were children. Both Robson and Safechuck had previously filed lawsuits in 2013 and 2014, which were dismissed in 2021 after a California appeals court ruled that Jackson's companies were not legally responsible for his alleged actions. But the legal door reopened in 2023 after a new ruling allowed their case to be revived under California's updated child abuse laws. Now, in 2025, they're back in court, seeking hundreds of millions in damages from Jackson's estate. But that's just one part of the story. The other centers on how the estate itself, once drowning in debt, has become one of the most profitable posthumous empires in entertainment history. To understand how we got here, let's rewind. In 2007, just 2 years before Michael Jackson's death, his finances were in crisis. According to official records, Jackson's net worth at the time stood at roughly $236.6 million. That number included over $567 million in assets, everything from his iconic Neverland Ranch to valuable music rights, but it was offset by nearly $331 million in liabilities. In other words, Jackson was deep in debt. Much of that financial strain came from his extravagant lifestyle and the enormous loans he had taken out against his music catalog, including his half-ownership of Sony/ATV, the publishing company that controlled the rights to more than 2 million songs, including classics by the Beatles. When Michael Jackson passed away unexpectedly in June 2009, he reportedly owed over $500 million. Many assumed that his empire would collapse under the weight of that debt. But that's not what happened. Instead, what followed was one of the most remarkable financial turnarounds in entertainment history. Under the management of executors John Branca and John McClain, Jackson's estate rebuilt his legacy and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse. Within just a few years, they had cleared all of his debts and transformed the estate into a model of posthumous success. A major turning point came in 2016, when Sony bought out the estate's 50% stake in the Sony/ATV music catalog for $750 million. It was one of the largest music rights deals ever made. 2 years later, in 2018, Forbes reported that Michael Jackson had earned a record-breaking $825 million in posthumous income, the highest of any deceased celebrity in history. And the money kept coming. In 2023 alone, the estate pulled in around $115 million, fueled largely by the success of MJ, the musical on Broadway, which grossed roughly $85 million on its own. Then, in 2024, earnings skyrocketed again. That year, the estate brought in an estimated $600 million, driven by streaming royalties, licensing deals, and the rights sale for the upcoming biopic MJ, directed by Anton Fuqua and produced by Graham King, the same producer behind Bohemian Rhapsody. All told, since Michael Jackson's passing in 2009, His estate has generated approximately $3.2 billion in gross earnings, the most of any celebrity, living or dead. So it's not surprising that disputes over that fortune have become intense and complicated. Court filings from October 2025 show that Paris Jackson, who is now 27 years old, has already received approximately $65 million in direct financial benefits from her father's estate. That includes distributions from trust funds, business ventures, and royalty payments. But Paris reportedly raised concerns about how much the estate is spending on legal fees, particularly those tied to the Robson and Safechuck case. The court documents indicate that the estate has spent tens of millions defending itself over the years, and with the plaintiffs now demanding $400 million in damages, the costs could rise dramatically. Still, the estate's executors maintain that the expenses are necessary to protect Michael Jackson's name and legacy from what they describe as false and damaging allegations. The legal and emotional complexity of this case cannot be overstated. For more than a decade, the accusations by Robson and Safechuck have divided public opinion. Their lawsuits argue that Jackson's companies, MJJ Productions and MJJ Ventures, enabled the alleged abuse, claiming that the organizations were responsible for creating opportunities for misconduct. The estate, however, has consistently denied all allegations, calling the claims baseless and motivated by money. After the 2019 release of Leaving Neverland, the controversy reignited around the world. The 4-hour documentary reignited public debate, causing several radio stations to temporarily pull Jackson's music and sparking lawsuits between HBO and the estate. The estate sued HBO for $100 million, arguing that the network had violated a non-disparagement agreement signed decades earlier. The two parties ultimately reached a confidential settlement in 2023. Through it all, the estate has maintained that no court has ever found Michael Jackson guilty of abuse, and that the allegations have caused significant emotional and financial harm to his family. The 2025 lawsuit, therefore, represents more than just a legal dispute over money. It's another chapter in the ongoing fight over how Michael Jackson's legacy will be remembered. While the $400 million figure is headline-grabbing, it also raises questions about how much liability, if any, can be assigned to the estate so many years after Jackson's death. Legal experts note that even if Robson and Safechuck were to win, collecting such a massive sum could prove difficult, given the complex structure of Jackson's trusts and corporate holdings. The estate's value is estimated to be in the range of $2 to $2.5 billion, much of which is tied up in music rights, real estate, and long-term contracts. Despite the ongoing litigation, the business side of the Michael Jackson estate continues to thrive. MJ, the musical, has expanded internationally, with touring productions in London, Tokyo, and Sydney. A film adaptation of the musical is also in early development. Meanwhile, the upcoming biopic MJ, starring Jafar Jackson, Michael's real-life nephew, is expected to be one of the biggest music films of 2026. Insiders say the movie will focus on both the artistry and the controversies of Jackson's life, with input from his family and estate. The estate has also continued to license Jackson's likeness and music for major partnerships, including deals with streaming platforms, video games, and fashion brands. His 1982 album Thriller remains the best-selling album of all time, with more than 70 million copies sold worldwide. Financial analysts point out that the estate's ability to generate revenue despite recurring controversy is a testament to the enduring global appeal of Michael Jackson's music. From Billie Jean to Smooth Criminal, his songs continue to dominate playlists, advertisements, and pop culture moments. Still, the shadow of litigation looms large. Every time new allegations or lawsuits surface, the estate is forced to divert resources, both financial and emotional, to defend his name. The $400 million lawsuit filed by Robson and Safechuck is arguably the largest and most significant challenge yet. Behind the scenes, family tensions have reportedly grown as well. While Paris Jackson has avoided publicly criticizing her father's estate, sources close to her suggest she wants greater transparency and accountability in how funds are managed. She remains protective of her father's reputation, but also conscious of the financial and emotional toll the legal battles take. As of late 2025, the case remains in pretrial stages, with hearings scheduled to begin early next year. Legal analysts expect the process to stretch well into 2026, given the complexity of the claims and the high-profile nature of the parties involved. Meanwhile, Michael Jackson's influence continues to be felt across the music industry. Modern artists such as The Weeknd, Bruno Mars, and Chris Brown continue to cite him as a defining influence on their sound and performance style. 16 years after his passing, Jackson's cultural footprint remains enormous. His music videos, choreography, and stage innovations continue to inspire new generations, even as debates about his personal life persist. The 2025 lawsuit represents a collision between that enduring artistic legacy and the unresolved legal questions surrounding his personal history. For fans, it is another reminder that Michael Jackson's story, both his brilliance and his controversies, remains unfinished. Whether the estate ultimately wins or loses the $400 million case, the battle underscores how, even long after his death, Michael Jackson continues to dominate headlines, courtrooms, and the entertainment world. And perhaps that's the most remarkable part of all, that the man once called the King of Pop still stands at the center of one of the biggest and most complex legacies in modern music. A legacy worth billions, still unfolding, and still fiercely protected by those who bear his name.